and you know me adolfo. Miss Remo, your friend, Obahima, Nana Yadoa, that me to us all. Then I'll go like, hey, ahead me or you, me, and na. How do you say to 1 year?
This video is sponsored by
Happy Milk. It's lactose-free milk.
Hi, my name is Susan. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm into events. I'm a wife, a mother to an almost 1-year-old baby boy. And this is my journey to motherhood. So I went to see the dentist. And after she had finished cleaning my teeth, she was like, oh, since you are here, let us just take a scan. She wanted to see something. I've forgotten what she said. So she directed me to a room, a particular room, and then there was a technician. And I stood in the middle of the room with machines, lights, everything. And she wanted to take a scan of my teeth. And when the machine started, there was one that was going around, was revolving. When it started, then the lady stopped the machine and she rushed in and she was like, Madam, please, are you pregnant? And I said, no. Okay, I don't know. And then she was like, okay. Then I asked her, why? Then she said, if you were pregnant, we would have to stop. And I was like, eh? Then she said, sometimes the radiation affects the growing fetus. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not pregnant. Or I don't know. I was really confused at that moment. I was like, okay, well, I don't know. And then she was like, okay, so should we go ahead or we should stop? I was like, go ahead. Let me just do my thing and go home. And she did it. I left that place. Weeks later, I went to see my mom. Then when she saw me, she was like, are you pregnant? And I was like, no, I'm not pregnant. Why? I'm even in my period. And then she was like, there's something not right about you. And we laughed it off. I was like, oh, I'm even pregnant, I'm in my period, so don't come and stress me. If you want me to even show you, she was like, hey, go. And then it ended there. But then I started feeling tired. There were times I'll go out to work and I'll come back, I'm tired. And seriously, pregnancy was the last thing on my mind. Then I started to gain weight. But I was gaining, everyone that knows me knows that I'm not a booby person. But then now, I had to even change the size of my bra. They were becoming bigger. And I, on the other hand, was enjoying it. But people saw me and then they would go like, are you okay? Like, what's happening? So there was this, I woke up, I felt pains all over. And then I went to the hospital. I thought probably because I had not checked. So I went to see a doctor with the intention of having a breast examination. And then when she was done examining me, she was like, oh, you're okay, there's nothing wrong with you. Are you in your period, like PMS? She started talking to me about that. I was like, oh yeah, I know what it is. And yes, that month I was about having my period. So I was like, oh, probably it's associated with that, so just relax. Like, okay, that's fine. Then I left. I came home. There was this day, we were about traveling. No, we were actually going out. And I was dressing up. And my husband was like, Sue, what's that? Pointing at my boobs. And then I was like, I know, right? Like, now I'm gaining weight. You see, like, now I'm even wearing a bigger size of my normal bra. And then he was like, are you okay? And we just laughed about it. I was like, I've always wished I had like bigger. And he was just laughing. Then he said, you know what? Maybe we should go to the hospital again. I was like, no. Look at me. I'm like, you see? And then he just laughed. We went out. But then I was not okay. And the funny thing too was, I was having my period. So pregnancy was actually the last thing on my mind. It wasn't even something I considered as at that time. Then I think he traveled and he came back and he was like, you know what, this weekend, whether you are okay, you are not okay, let's just go to the hospital. And because I was so sure I was not pregnant, we didn't even try the home test. We didn't even do that at all. So, And then he was like, but prior to all these things, I think weeks after we got married, and a friend called, and she was like, Sue, I had a dream about you. I didn't like it. And I asked her what it was, and she was like, I had a dream you were pregnant and you had miscarried. I was like, okay. We pray about it. That time I was not pregnant. I had no plans of getting pregnant. Actually, I even told my husband we should wait for a year before we try having babies or something like that. And then he was okay with it. He even said, even if I want to have a baby today, he was ready. Tomorrow he was ready. Anytime he was ready, he didn't care. So when my friend told me that, I didn't tell my husband. I was like, oh, we pray about it. But then anytime I prayed, I pray about what she said. Then another friend called me. I had about 4 different people call me different times. And then this time it was a guy. And he was like, Susan, I had a dream about you. I didn't like it was not a good dream. And I've kept it for a while now because I've been praying for you. But it's like I saw that you were holding a baby and it's like maybe dropped from your hand. He didn't understand it, but he only when he was praying, he was like, whatever it was, God should just like deliver me from whatever. He didn't understand what it was. Then the dream came again. I was like, no, maybe I should just call this girl and then talk to her. He didn't even ask me, are you pregnant? Are you planning on having a baby? Nothing. He didn't say anything. So when he told me that, I was like, okay. It's like this is the second time I'm hearing something similar to that. Okay. Then this time I told my husband that a friend called and this is what he was saying. And he was like, okay, we pray about it. So yeah, obviously we prayed. But there was a particular lady that called me again. That's the funny thing. And the funny thing is, that time I was not pregnant. I didn't have plans of having a baby, nothing. So when that girl called, when she called me, I don't know her to even be like a creepy person or a church person that I would consider and say that, oh, sorry, I call you a demon Bible baby, and she saw something about me. And when she called me, the first thing I'm tempted to mention her name. The first thing she said was, foolish girl, no, me madam, my boyfriend would die. Now I'm a son would die. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, you called me, you didn't say, oh, hi, how you not say, shit, yes, we hear me, sir. Why am I having dreams about you? And then I was like, hey, what has happened? And she said, oh, I'm going to change. Although she spaced that she dreamt about me instead of her boyfriend, she had a dream. Then it's like I was bleeding. I had a baby and I had miscarriage. Everything she said was centered about childbirth, was centered on childbirth and that. So at that point, I was like, no. Although we are praying, like I think we really need to pray harder and like really pay attention to that aspect of our lives. And then I told my husband, this is what this person said. And this person, she's not someone I was saying that caught baby or vampire or something. And I haven't even spoken to her in a long while. And I was like, okay. Pray. Now we're making time, actually, although every day we pray, we're making time to pray about this part of our life. And then there was this day, an auntie of mine, I call her auntie because she's older. They were having a program at a church, her church. And she was like, oh, it's the last day, so you can come. And it's like, okay, that's fine. So she came to pick me up and we went. And then when the service was about ending, the pastor came to stand by me. I was sitting with her, we were even talking. And then he was like, he's saying something about me. And it's like I had anytime I took seed, I miscarried. At that point, I was like, so I didn't say anything. And then he spoke to me, just me. He was just standing by me, and he spoke to me. And he was like, he said certain things that even had happened on the day I got engaged. I didn't even know. and he said certain things about my family, but then he was very specific. He said that around this period, you would conceive and then you would miscarry. So now I was shaking. I was like, okay, what's happening? And then from that, he was like, he prayed with me there. And then I left, I went. I never even went to that church again. I can't remember the road to the church. And then I came home. So when I came home and I told my mother that, for a while now, people have been having funny dreams about me. And then they called to tell me, yes, we pray about it. But then this time, I followed someone to her church. And then the pastor came to tell me this. Now, I think I'm getting a bit scared. And then she was like, what did the person say? Then I told my mother everything. And she actually confirmed what the man said. Like, she was like, oh yeah, like this happened, that happened. I was like, oh, okay, no one told me. And then she was like, you know what? Don't be alarmed. Prayer can solve anything. There's nothing God can do. Unless you don't believe in God, then we shouldn't even have this discussion. Because when I wanted you, she was specific. She was like, when I wanted you, I prayed. And I know what I told God. So if you want to have a baby, just pray. That's all. Unless you don't want that. And I was like, okay. So now, back to that week when my husband was like, you know what, whether you're okay, you are not okay, we are going to the hospital. So I could tell that he wanted us to try and see if we can have a baby. And there were times I would be like, hey, so what if I can't have a baby at all, or I can't conceive, or well, then we went to a friend's party, and then he saw the lady's last born. I'm sure when she sees this, she would laugh. My husband was all over that kid. He would hold him, carry him, move, and I was just sitting down looking at him quietly. And then initially he would say that, oh, we should be specific with our prayers. First he said, let's pray about a baby girl. Now he changed the prayers to a baby boy, specifically one that would look like that his friend's kid. And I was like, hey, and so she made So I knew that, okay, now he wants to see if we would be able to have a baby. And that week, we went to the hospital. We got there. We met a doctor. And then he asked me questions. I told him. He asked my last period. I was like, oh, not too long ago. It was just about 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so. I had my period. He examined me. He did a physical examination. He examined me. And he was like, you know what? Let's do a pregnancy test as well. And because I was sure I was not pregnant, I was like, don't waste your time. Because I just had my period. At that time, we were in a different month. So if I remember clearly, I had my period for almost 3 months. And then he was like, you don't worry, anything can happen. Let's just do the test. Let's be sure. So they did a urine test, a blood test, other tests, I've even forgotten. And at that time, I knew my husband was just praying that, oh, let it come out positive. But then I was thinking, I just hope it's not anything terminal. They'll come and say, hey, mommy, you are sick or like something. So my mind was so much on pregnancy. And then my husband was like, oh, how soon can we get the results? He asked the doctor. The doctor said, oh, in 2 hours you can come back and then come for your results. And he was like, okay, let's not go far. He told me, let's not go far. Let's just walk around. Let's just go shopping. Let's do something and then come back. On a normal day, if we are walking around, we try to race each other to see who would be first. That day, I was just slow. I was just walking quietly. And then he was like, are you okay? It's like, I'm fine. I just feel tired. I just want to sit. So I walked more and then I'll stand and then I realized, no, I was not okay. So when we got back, the hospital actually called us that, oh, your results are ready, so you can come back. And the doctor waited for us to come. And then when we sat down, he was like, oh, your results are in. We checked this, we checked that. This was this, this was that. But then the pregnancy test, it came out positive. And then my face changed. And my husband was just smiling. I turned this way and then he was just smiling. And then he was like, oh, the pregnancy test came out positive. Congratulations, you are pregnant. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, am I supposed to be happy? And the two of them were laughing. And I was like, how? How am I pregnant? And the doctor was like, you should be telling me. I was so indifferent. I was not sad. I was not extremely happy. I was just like, eh. And I was just sitting down. And I turned and my husband was already on his phone. He was taking pictures and videos and he was even taking pictures with the doctor. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't know how to actually like take the message well. So I was like, oh, okay. And I was just quiet. I was sitting down quietly. And then afterwards, he kept on engaging the doctor. He asked, oh, so what should we do now? He was just all over asking questions. So from now, strict, healthy diet, we're doing this. And I was just quiet, the whole time. I was sitting down quietly. And the doctor was like, you need to do a scan so we are sure where the fetus is growing at. And I was like, okay. And he said, at this time, we can't do it here. You'd have to go to our main branch the next day so that they check you and then come back here. Or if you want to continue there, that's fine. I was like, okay. And when we were about, my husband was like, hey, no, don't walk. Just sit at the waiting area. And I was like, I can just walk. He was like, no, hey, madam, sit down. And I sat down quietly. On a normal day, we both walk to the car park and then just drive off. And whilst I was waiting for him to come, I was just quiet. And I think at that moment, I was a bit confused because I couldn't understand how I was having my period. And then I was pregnant at the same time. And now I was also thinking about the dreams some people have had about me. That at that moment, I don't know if it's okay to say I was not happy. So I was confused. So I was just sitting down quietly. And the only thing I said was, God, just let your will be done. And that was it. So my husband actually came to park in front of the entrance of the hospital, like the waiting area, and then I walked out. When I walked out, the moment I sat in the vehicle, he was playing our wedding song. That was when I got emotional. So yes, and that day he was like, that same time, he was like, who should I call for you? He was just, and the only thing I wanted to do was to go home and sleep. On a normal day, in Kebetri Street, I would say Fameko you know. And then the only thing I wanted was rice from a particular joint on our way home. And he was like, buy you pan. On a day like this, you want me to go and buy you this food? I was like, I just want to go home and sleep. And he was like, oh, okay. So yeah, that was how I found out I was pregnant. I don't know if it's okay to say this on record, but I hated it. I didn't enjoy it like how others would say, oh, I was here, I was going on with my duties, I was doing this, I was doing that. I didn't experience that because I was always in pain. I was always in constant pain, the constant headaches, I was vomiting, throwing up. And I thought they said morning sickness. So I was expecting to be sick only in the mornings, but at dawn, in the afternoons, in the evenings, I'll be throwing up. It wasn't a nice experience for me, being pregnant. It wasn't at all. And I couldn't even take blood tonic to help my blood level. My blood level started dropping. That's another part that was a bit scary, but we managed to sail through. They put me on so many drugs. It was just not working. We started with pregnant care. We moved to ferroglobin, Zincofa, Nescofa, Bioferon, so many drugs. it was just not working for me. We realized that I was reacting to anything that had iron in it. And my mom was like, oh, more painful, but I couldn't help it. I didn't have any serious cravings. No, I just wanted something in my belly, and then that would be all. But there was only one time. That was when I realized, okay, this one year I'm pregnant and casa. I was like, oh, I wanted fried egg. My husband was like, oh, okay, should I help you do it or should I do it for you? I was like, nah, I'll do it myself. But then I was still sitting down. Then he was like, is there a problem? I was like, I don't want our saucepan, our non-stick pan, the fry pan. I want the aluminium pan. And then he looked at me like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, but I want to hear that sizzling sound, then I'll know that I'm frying egg. He thought I was kidding. By the time he realized we were already on my way to my mother's house, I was going to use my mother's aluminium pan to fry the egg. So I think that was the one time I sort of acted some way or weird, but then that was all. And during pregnancy, it was just tough. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. I mean, the headaches were way too much. And at a point, my doctor actually wanted to scan my head to see if there was something growing inside that was causing all that, because I was in too much pain. I was just in too much pain. And I mean, there were times my husband would put my legs in a basin and then cover me with a blanket with ice cubes on my head, and it wasn't easy for us. The whole period it wasn't nice for me. And then I was really overwhelmed because I saw my other friends, I saw my family, and then they were active. They were going on with their duties and everything. And so to me, I thought, oh, when it's my turn, it's going to be fine like that. But then no, I didn't experience that, so I can't say I enjoyed pregnancy that much. Nah. And what made it worse was, I think, when I was about 8 months, 8 months getting to 9 months, and we were robbed. So they cut through our burglar proof and entered through the bedroom. That day, there were times I didn't feel like sleeping in my bedroom, so I'd just take a mattress and come sleep in the hall. And then those days, my husband would just join me there. And that particular day, we were sleeping in the hall watching TV. And he fell asleep first. He was like, oh, I'm too tired, me there, me there, job. And then he slept. We were actually having a conversation, then he slept. So I was lying on the floor. After a while, then I also slept. Then somewhere in the middle of the night, between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., I got up to wee-wee, like use the washroom. When I got up, we had a small lamp in the hall, so that was on. I didn't think someone was in the room. So I was heading straight to the washroom. Then I heard a sound like something had been thrown off over the wall. And then I saw a guy on our wall. And I just stood there looking at him. He had something in his hand, and then he had covered his head. And I could hear sound like movements at the back of our window. But I didn't go to the other side of the window. And I didn't switch our lights on. It was just off. So I was just standing there quietly. And then I saw another person on the wall. The other person was trying to jump over the wall and had a kitchen stool. So it was at that point, and I was like, no, these guys are thieves. And they sort of threw something again over the wall again. The second guy that stood on the wall turned to look at me, at my direction. So I thought he saw me. At that time I was panicking, and I just threw myself on the floor, and it felt like something was coming out. So I rushed to the washroom. I sat on the sink and I was just shaking. I sat on the basin. I was shaking throughout. I held our sink. That time I didn't even know what was coming out. I didn't know if it was the wee-wee or whatever. There was something just coming out of me like that. And I was just shaking, I was just praying. My heart was just beating. I could feel it in my head. At that moment, I had headache all of a sudden.
Then after a while, it didn't take long, like a minute or so. So I crawled and I went to call my husband that, get up, there are thieves in the house. So when I went to call him, and he got up and then he turned the lights off, I was like, no, don't turn the lights off. They will see that we are awake. And then he switched it on. There was just chaos for about 10 minutes in our room, and then he could see that I was not okay, so he held me, and then he was trying to calm me down, and we sat down on the floor. At that time, I didn't even realize I had twisted my wrist because of the way I feel myself on the floor. I didn't realize I had twisted my wrist. And then he tried to talk to me, calm me down and all that after a while. And then he asked me, what exactly did I see? I narrated everything. Before that, he went to the bedroom, he went to our wash. He just went around to check if something was happening or someone was around. But then at that time, they had left. So I told him, he asked me what exactly I saw. I told him everything. And around that time, they were doing some constructions in our house. So I was like, maybe they are stealing from the landlord or something. They were trying to finish their apartment. And then he was like, okay. We didn't even think that they had come to our room, like our side of the house. So we sat there for a while. And the day before, I got a package from a friend. So when I saw where the package was, I started fighting my husband. I was like, you like that? Every time you touch my stuff, you don't put them exactly where you saw them. And he was like, no, I haven't touched anything. I was like, I placed this thing here. Now it's here. Why is it here? So he was like, no, I haven't touched anything. Then he was like, if you placed it here, my laptop was there. Why is my laptop? Then I was like, well, I haven't seen it. Then he asked, where is my tablet? Because his tablet was lying right by him before we slept. Then I was like, you know what, let me just take my phone and call your line. I was looking for my phone, I couldn't find it. That was when we realized, okay, they came to us, they came to our room. That tension was on another level. Now I was shaking, I was panicking because the thought of someone invading our privacy to the extent of coming around us to even pick our stuff, because my phone was right by me, his stuff was also right by him, just took me off. I was like, no, I don't want to even be. So at that moment, he left me and then he went around the house. Then we went to our bedroom, switched the light on this time. That was when we realized, okay, our wardrobes, drawers, everything was opened. Then we knew that they had come into our place. I was like, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. So what if at that same time I opened my eyes? Because I was, just when they were leaving was when I woke up to use the washroom. It's like, God of mercy. I don't even want to think or imagine what could have happened at that time. So that added up to the fact that I was already in pain and I didn't like the whole pregnancy thing. It was just, let me say, a dark period for us. It wasn't easy, but we sailed through. God was on our side, so we sailed through.
Okay, so around 36 weeks, when I went to see my doctor, my usual appointment, and then I was entering 37, and then he was like, that time now my blood level was peaking because of the tortilla, and then now I could eat a bit, and the other local foods I was eating, the turkey berries and other stuff. And then he was like, any moment from now, baby can come. So just prepare yourself. But then my husband and I, we had a little challenge because at that time we were thinking, should we just stay at the private? I went for antenatal at a private hospital. So should we just stay at the private hospital or move to a government hospital? So we talked to a few friends, family, and then we were still debating about what we should do. Should we stay? Should we go? Should we stay? Should we go? Because yes, we heard, they told us stories. If anything should happen, if there's an emergency, we would have to rush you to a government hospital or a bigger hospital. So we're like, then why not go to that hospital than to stay here and then who knows? So when my doctor said that, then we told him, okay, we want to take a transfer from that hospital to a government hospital. Maybe I should have stayed. Because I didn't think what I experienced was going to happen. One, no one gave me details about certain things or what happens at a government hospital. And because I was so used to how I was being treated at the private hospital, I was actually overwhelmed by everything that happened from the time we took the transfer to the government hospital. And first of all, I didn't know you would have to go with your own cloth and a Macintosh or a wrapper to spread on the bed before a doctor examines you. At the private hospital, we go, everything is set up. They examine you, take the tissue, the disposable tissue off, and the next person comes and we move on. So I got there, the very first day I went to see the doctor, there was a long queue. I went very early and I didn't also know that I had to use my hospital card to queue as a way of queuing. So when I went to sit by the ladies and we're all sitting down. Then all of a sudden the nurse came and was mentioning him with the same hospital card that I had. And then I was like, oh, I didn't know I had to give. So one lady saw that I had my card and she was like, you didn't send your card. And I said, I didn't know I had to actually queue with my card. I thought being here maybe. They said, no. And your nurse nearly said. So they actually helped a bit because they saw me when I came. So they helped. And the nurse was like, and the next time we be a file card number 2 table. So it's like, okay, at least I'm picking up. And then she allowed some people, and then after she was like, okay, you can go. Then I went to see the doctor. So he was like, oh, let me examine you. And then the nurse was like, Mommy, one fan to one back. And I was just looking at her because I didn't know I had to send a cloth. I didn't know I had to send a Macintosh, a rubber, whatever. I didn't know. And I was expecting her to have at least said that, oh, where is this or that? She just went, she was like, Mommy, one fan to mama. And I was like, and to ma. Then she was like, and you would pay neko pair of bra. So I didn't want to mind it. And I just went out. I told my husband that, oh, this is what they are saying. And I was like, okay, let me just go. Then she came, she was like, what the rubber name about? I was like, oh, that was a nurse for only be to be what I could be never see her. I was like, oh, okay. Then my husband just went. And then he came back with the rubber. And she was like, you are tired and check. It was so like, I'm being careful here. I don't want trouble with any government health worker. So I was like, hey, okay. Then that day I kept quiet throughout. So I just laid on the bed. The doctor examined me. And then when he was done, he was like, okay, come back the following week. So I left. When we were leaving, I told my husband, I don't like this place. First of all, the doctor wasn't friendly that day. Secondly, I didn't know a lot of things. I came here. So, and it's like, do this. No, it wasn't like do this. It was more like, why haven't you done this when you're supposed to do that? It's like, I don't like this place. But then at that time, we had already committed ourselves here. Yeah, we could have changed again, but then it would make us look like very sure what we wanted. And one other thing too was, because my sister-in-law worked at that government institution, I wanted a familiar face, like someone I could easily call and say, oh, call this person, I know this person, so that they sort me out, just in case there was no one around. So that day, we actually made jokes about what happened. And see, the next time we're going to the hospital, I just picked my crop and my rubber, and then I went. I went and put my card on that table for queuing. Just as I said, I thought, oh, that was all. Then one lady came. Photocopy anyway. And I was like, photocopy. I said, oh, so you cash, and I said, oh, you so. And then I'm so insurance. No, I say health insurance, and I want so it's our own private insurance. And then she was like, I was so weird photocopy. And it would go down. And you see, the thing too was because we were so used to how the private hospital had actually automated their systems and everything was sort of in order. I didn't know I had to walk from here to there, go do photocopy, then come here, come and do scan here, move here, go here, go. Nah, yeah, baby. I was just like, you know what, me and my mom, so I was like, photocopy anyway, and then my husband was like, you know what, sit down. Then he took my card, my hospital card, and he didn't do just one photocopy, he did like 6. He brought it back. I was saying, put everything in your bag. If they want fight, give it to them and let's just go. So I had like 6 copies in my bag. It's me doing another media mom. I will do another mom. So yeah, that switch. I didn't know a lot. I had to just experience it, and then that was it. So 37 weeks passed, 38 weeks, 39. My EDD passed, 40 weeks. My mother was like, and then I was like, now say yes, say full-term babies there or move back. And then I was like, fine, first pregnancy, but then I think this child is keeping way too long. Like, what's happening? So I started talking to a few friends of mine who had already given birth. And then my family, like my cousins and then other people. And then most of them would say, oh, my baby came at 38 weeks, 39, 37. Someone even told me 36. So I was like, oh, okay. And that's a median there too. We were praying, although we were praying. Before all these things, I told you, like, my husband really prayed during that period there. If prayer could send us to heaven, see, we would be one on God's list, like we're already in heaven. We were really praying, like, we didn't want any issues. God should just see us through. We prayed the whole time. 14 weeks, this child, there was no sign of labor, nothing. You know, people would say, my water broke at home, there was this, mucus clot. So there were times I would actually go to the bathroom, just check, like, am I sure this thing came and I didn't see it? Or, like, what's up? Nothing. It was just not happening. So, 40 weeks we went to the hospital, and then the doctor was like, we've checked you, we've checked baby. Baby is fine, you are fine. So let's just monitor you for some few days and then see. And then he was like, he was like, oh, go and see the midwives. Let them talk to you and they'll just give you a little education on what you also have to do. So one other thing, you know, these midwives, I don't know if it was because it was a government hospital, I don't know. The moment I were like, now someone won't hear emergency case. That was one baby, so it was like, and what for 2 weeks I was contracting. But then anytime I went to the hospital, they would tell me it's false labor. But then the second week, it was a bit painful. So when we went, the doctor was like, he checked me, everything was okay. He was like, I should see the midwife. Let them help me with what I need to bring, blah blah blah, and all that, and then talk to me as well. And then one nurse was like, sister, wave you. Now, sister, we need emergency case. My young question on one me emergency. I was just in the looking at her, and I'll just smile. Anytime she made that comment more than twice, and I'll just smile and then keep quiet. So me emergency case. Hey, then she came back. She was like, "Mommy, go home and sleep with your husband. When labor starts, you know, you will come." And she just left me. I was just sitting there quiet. I was like, and I left. Then I went home. Nothing happened. I called my daughter. And then he was like, "This week, if it was, I think, a weekend. We were now entering a weekend. And then he was like, Sunday, come to the hospital. I was like, okay, fine. I went to the hospital. Then he was like, didn't the midwives tell you that you're supposed to bring your things? And no one told me. Like, okay, there's been a mix-up. You're actually supposed to come today so that we induce you to see if baby would come. At that time, I was almost 41 weeks. I was tired. I was like, you know what, can we just get this thing done so that I can be free? And the doctor was like, oh, you were supposed to have come with your face so that we induce you and then we try and see if baby would come. So when the doctor said that, and then I was like, oh, I didn't know. No one told me. Then he was like, oh, I think there was a mix-up somewhere. So I should go home. And then it was a Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday I should come to the hospital. And then he was like, if anything should happen that night and the next morning, I should just come. I should just come to the hospital. During that period, we were praying. The whole family was praying for me. My uncles will call. Mommy, I was saying, you see, oh, and I spent most of that time at home. I was not going out. I was just indoors most of the time. It was, I think, the latter part. I started feeling a bit okay, so I would go out a bit. Yes, but then in the evenings I'll just go for a walk, come back home, and then that was it. My uncles will call. Hey, mommy, I was saying, so my aunties will call. They will call me and all that. Before, when I got to my last trimester, I think 8 months, getting to that 9 months and the whole entry 41 weeks and everything. And I had another friend. A friend called me. He was like, he would call. Oh, hi. I'm not saying, how are you? How are things? I'm like, oh, everything is okay. I'm fine. Where are you? I'm like, oh, I'm home. There are times I'll say, oh, we are at the market. I'm going to buy stuff. Or maybe I'm here, I'm with my mother, I'm that. Then it just clicked me. Like, why is this guy calling me? He's my friend, yeah, alright. But then the way he was calling, it was a bit suspicious. So I was like, there was this day he called. We actually parked outside a bank. And then my husband had just gotten out of the vehicle. When he called, I was like, I almost mentioned this. I was like, why do you call me lately? Like, just be honest. What's up? And then he kept quiet on the line. And he was like, oh, but you're my friend, so I'm just calling to check on you. I was like, yeah, I know, but what's up? And then he said, oh, say okay, you on my moment. I was like, no. There's something you're not saying. You're not that person who will just call me and then you are checking on me like almost every time. Aden. And he laughed. Then he was like, you know what? He's been struggling to tell me this thing, but for some weeks now, according to the guy, he was like, for some weeks now, every time he dreams about, like every time he dreams and then he sees me, it's like something has happened to me. And he couldn't actually figure out the exact thing happening. He couldn't tell whether I was sick, I was that out. So he was like, you know what, let me just call her, find out how she was doing. So I was like, so it took you weeks before you could tell me a dream. And I was like, okay, I hear you, Papa. Then he asked me, are you okay? Is your family fine? So it was after he was telling me, he told me more than 4 dreams he had about me. It was when he opened up to tell me, was when I told him that I was pregnant. And he was like, it makes sense now. And he was like, Susan, I remember you prayers, okay? And I was like, it felt so good, like it felt so nice, like, you know, someone had a dream about me and then like they tell you with such comfort, like, I remember you in prayers. So even if they were not praying, they told me. So yeah, me that go. And then I was like, don't worry, we're also praying here at home. You know, They're just praying for a safe delivery and everything, because even from the onset, people had dreams that had miscarried and all throughout. So I know God will do it, so don't worry. And then he was also talking to me. There were times he would call me and share Bible verses with me. I should stand on and then use that to pray. I should. It was good. That period, that gentleman really helped me. And then another friend also called. So now the thing was becoming a bit funny. I was like, I'm not confronting your baby. And probably they're using that to like scare me or something. But then I knew I was not going out that often for people to see me. It was home, my mother's house, home. If we go out, I was always in the car. A lot of people didn't even know that I was pregnant. And so I think a few of them that realized I was offline and they suspected something. Then another friend called me. She was like, somewhere within the beach, she had a dream about me. It was like I was working in a hospital, but then I was complaining to someone that they were trying to do something to me. That was what, and then she was like, so when she woke up from the dream, she was like, why would I dream about this girl like that? Like, what's up? So she told me, and I was like, oh, sir. And yeah, we medical hospital, we papa, and they a couple person can be rich us when yeah, over to you. You've been giving the mantle, stand in the gap and pray for me. And she was like, so all this while you were pregnant, you didn't see me that. I was like, who announces that they are pregnant? Like I should hold a banner on my head and be shouting, I'm pregnant. And he was like, this one, you are somewhere seeing me. I was just on the line and I was laughing. So we're doing everything possible to induce labor. Oh, a friend even said, and we even read somewhere online that we should intentionally hit potholes to see if it can induce labor. So my husband just made jokes and was like, and yes, oh, but then I'm a car, I say. So we just hit pothole and nothing happened. We tried raspberry tea and we bought 2 brands. I was taking one with milk, one without milk. I was drinking morning, afternoon, evening. We were chewing dates, the wet ones, the dry ones, pineapple, and we were doing the squat, the yoga, the peanut ball, everything. It was just not working. So at a point I was like, you know what, maybe I should just relax. Maybe I'm even giving myself pressure. I should just relax and then see what will happen. So that Tuesday we went to the hospital, I was admitted, my husband went home. I felt alone. So that evening the nurse came and then she was like, yes, you've been inducing me. You and your roommate, you've been inducing me, you know. And you, oh, and never dad, and it's a seer. Yeah, he had also, oh, and never dad, than it's a seer. I don't know if she was kidding or was also that it's a seer because I did cheap pay. And I'm saying, I did cheap pay kind way. I said, 4 a.m. me are starting. And so, dear. They're moving free, and I told her that I'm still contract on say until so labor started and started I won't it. And I was laughing. And I sat down quietly. So that evening, my roommate and I really know each other, so we just spoke just a little when we were there. So she actually woke me up saying, hey, I bought you the nurses in the back, something like that. So at 4, and the nurses came and they were like, okay, she should go first, and then when they're done with her, they would sort me out. So she went, and then she was induced. When she came, I was like, so how was it like? And to say like, then she was like, oh, they put a small tablet and they set it right there. I was like, oh, okay. She me. I was just asking questions because you would read about it either online or in books, but then experiencing it is different. I was like, 18, a year was there. Like, to see how she and let's wait and see. I was waiting for my turn. No one came to call me. I went there myself to ask. I was like, almost say, and then there were young doctors and nurses around. They were like, oh, you train your doctor no bar, or team no doctor no bar. Or no best sort out and so they're calling us in there. oh, okay. Because the night before, my doctor told me that they will induce me at bed so that by morning, when he comes, he will come in monitor and then see how labor will progress. So it was not happening for me. I was just lying down. Then I saw my roommate. She just got up. She just jumped from the bed and she was walking around and saying, I started feeling pains. So it was, I was like, okay, like, this is it, like, you know, we are ready. We've entered the battlefield. And then she was just walking. Then she walk here. She would come, then she sit down small. Then she would eat. And hey, that girl had appetite. She would eat and she would walk small. And I was just sitting down, like, hey, 7 o'clock. This body don't come. So I think it was around almost 9 a.m. And then my doctor came in. And when he came, when he came, I was lying down. And he sent someone to come and call me from the room. He came to spy first, then he went to come and call me from the room. And then he asking them why they had not induced. They were like, oh, we were waiting for him to come. And I think he was a bit pissed because I think he had everything planned within a particular schedule. So when he came and they came to call me, I went inside there and then I told him that I'm contracting. And then he was like, I should write down that to let him examine me. He examined me. He didn't say anything. Then he asked for a tab or something. He said something when he brought it. And then he inserted the bar. Hey. I was like, okay. This is it. Like, this is the real view. So I just, when I left him and then I went inside, I went to ask someone that, is there no way they can insert the drug until a doctor puts his hand there? And this man is not like a small boy, he's a crying room. And look, that pain was different, but it can't be compared to what I went through afterwards. So after he inserted the drug, I came back. At that time, my sister-in-law had come to our work. She came to check on me. And then she realized, okay, I was fine. She was like, okay, I should lie down a bit before I start working. She said, okay, that's fine. And then she left. She went to carry on with her duties somewhere else. I was lying down. I was not feeling any pain. I was okay. At that time, my roommate was pacing the room. So I was just lying down. And she was like, Susan, sorry, Nancy. Now, Nancy, because she said at that time she was in pain. The pain was now starting for her, but I was not feeling any pain. So I was just lying down like this. Then it started like menstrual cramps. So I was like, hey, okay. Then I actually sat on the bed well. So I was sitting down quietly. Then the nurses came in like, oh, my check your shirt with your wedding. My with your wedding. And they did the vaginal examination again. People of God, if there's anything they can do to check if there's a machine or something, I think science should get to that point. Because the putting of their hands there, that thing alone can make you go gaga. What is this? Then it was painful. There was a time I held the nurse's hand. She was like, Mommy, don't they join me? What? Mommy, pain, no pain. Hey, I don't know. Maybe if someone offends me, I may just curse them with labor pains. Because I don't know what could be more painful than that. I don't know. So I'll just say that, okay, labor pains. Because I don't know. What pain is this? It was just painful. I was contracting. So I told her that I can't lie down. Can I just sit for a while? So they made me sit on the bed. I asked for my pillow. I told her they should go and bring my pillow from my ward. The lady said, oh, don't worry, just sit, just lie down. I was like, I can't lie down. She brought the pillow. I adjusted my back with the pillow a bit. I told her, I can't lie, I can't sit. And then I told her, you know what? I want to use the room. Then she said, oh, by number 1 and number 2. Then I was like, I want to do all. So I wanted a break from them. She was like, at this point, we can't let you go alone. So you know what? And she pushed the bucket. They had lined it with a rubber 4 or something. Then she was like, do everything. I was like, I can't do my business in front of you. She was like, you've already opened your legs, you see everything. What can't you drink? And we were just laughing. There were two nurses who were engaging me before the main midwife. She was like, "You've already opened your legs. You see everything. What else?" I was like, "No, I can't do my business in front of you people." Because at that point, it felt like I wanted to do number 2. Then it felt like, no, it's number 1. Like I want to read. Then it felt like, no, it's like menstrual pains. And then it felt like, I said, "Go get see, it was just uneasy. It was not. I was uneasy. It was not easy for me. It was just a whole new chapter. And then the nurse was like, "No, do your business now." Then I was like, "Okay." So when she pulled that bucket, that was the one she put in front. I was like, "I don't think I'll do it again. You people should just let me walk." Then she was like, "If you have enough strength to walk, just walk." That's me midwife. She would come into the room, and the way she was acting, it looked like I was wasting her time. Initially, she was very friendly. All of a sudden, she sort of switched. So according to my husband and my auntie, when they entered the ward, she was watching videos on her phone. So when the nurses would shout, they would say something, I don't know their terms, I don't know their jargons and all that. And then she would just come, and it looked like her gestures looked like, oh, you knew baby, you see, hey. And then when she came back again, it looked like she was really, really asleep, because she came back probably after 2 hours or so. It looked like she was really, really asleep, and we went to wake her up, like she should come and check on me. And I was just lying down, and the whole time I was praying in my head. I was just praying. Before they took me to the neighbor ward, my uncle had called me on phone, and he had prayed with me. It's me not my vein level with a crossroad. So I was lying down, and I asked him to adjust the head a bit, because my head was way too low. He did all that, and I was lying down. He tied my hands, and then they brought something to cover my view, so I couldn't see beyond that. And I was just lying down quietly. I had my hairnet on and everything, and then I was lying down. And then at that time, I was calm. No pain, no nothing. So I was just quiet. I was lying down. There was another guy standing there. The whole time he was looking at his watch. Then he looked at the machine. Then he looked at his watch. So he was monitoring me, my vitals and everything. And then they started. Now it felt like the guy passed ice on my legs, and it felt like he said the answer actually. So when I said, I was like, yes, okay, the drug is working, so I should just lie down quietly. And it felt like they had put something on my abdomen, and they were stretching my skin. So, and I could hear the sound, like he was turning something. And then afterwards, so I asked him, what exactly is happening? And the guy said, the doctor has started. Very soon, a baby will be born. I was lying down quietly. So it was at that point that the nurse was like, yeah, Fred was saying. That new nurse. She was like, yeah, Fred was saying. And then I mentioned her, like, and then she smiled. So I said, I'm going to concert for her more meeting. Maybe almost straight. Then she smiled, and she was engaging me. We were talking, and then she asked where I lived, who I came there with. She was just engaging me, taking my mind off it. And then I could hear them playing gospel. So I was singing along. I was just lying down quiet and singing along. It didn't take long. And then I heard a baby's cry. So she was taking my knee this way. She was rubbing my hands. She would talk to me, and then the other guys was coming this way. And before that, the guy was like, I'm going to do something. If you feel any pain, let me know. So he put his hand right beneath my breast and sort of pushed something out. So when he did, I was like, pain. And then was like, are you in pain? I was like, it felt like something had come out. See, that I didn't even think that I was actually having a surgery to get my baby out. My mind was just all over. And then I was lying outside in the room, was out, in my head, was singing along. I was like, no matter what happens, I'm going home with my baby. Now being the fake level, now level up how much. I said, I didn't even care anymore. And then I heard the baby's cry, but it was faint. And I told the nurse, hey, you people, your nursery is closer to the theater. I said, when babies cry, people hear, and then they all shouted, that is your baby. And I was like, hey, let me see. So So I tried getting up. It was at that point that I understood why they tied my hands. And then she was like, no, relax, we'll break you. And then I was lying down. So after a while, then I could see they were rushing towards where the baby was. They were cleaning him. I saw the lady push it from my back. And they were cleaning everything. Then now I heard him crying, like he was now crying out loud. And I was just smiling the whole time. And then the nurse was like, oh, funny one, and then she brought him and opened his legs. When she was bringing him, all I saw was something dark. It was his hair. His hair was on his face, like everywhere. He has a lot of hair. So at a moment I was like, I'm a girl. Then when she brought and opened the legs, I was like, boy. And then they were all smiling. So when she was there, that nurse was taking him back. And then he was like, hey, funny part. The one by me was like, funny part, I'm trying to kiss. So she placed the boy on my shoulder this way. When his skin touched my skin, I don't know where the tears came from. It was like they had opened a dam. It was just calm. Now they were all like, oh, yeah, yes, Tracy, saying, and then I was like, hey, my brain off. And then the nurse was like, oh, Susan, and then the gentleman was like, motherly blessed, I know she'll be fine. And then she took a tissue, she was just wiping my tears and everything. And I was like, please don't keep quiet. In the midst of the crying and the tears, I was like, take him to my husband's street. Just take the white man, don't give him to anybody. Because I had heard stories that people would swap people's babies, they would steal people's babies and everything. And we had planned that the moment he came, we'd take pictures of him. So I was just in there, and then they took the baby, took him out. And I told the guy that I'm very thirsty. I beg him, I'm not allowed to drink. And then he was like, no. Baby, what do you need to know how she's here? So he just brought, as my lips were cracked and they were so dry. I was just tired, I was drained, everything. So he just put one ice cube on my lips and I just pulled my tongue out and pushed it into my mouth. Then I told the nurse that, hey, hell, man, how come I'm not swearing hell? She was, you could see, said, no, man, we are necessary. I'm sure she would go like, go away, man, you understand where you are. And then we just laughed about it. So at that point, they had taken baby out. It was just me. I was lying down quietly. Now I couldn't breathe. I was struggling to breathe. Then I held the gentleman and I couldn't even talk well. And I told him that I can't breathe. I just listened. I can't breathe. And then they had tied my hands too, but it was very loose. And he was coming at that corner. And then I told him I can't breathe. So they placed oxygen on me at that point. And then he said I should try and remain very calm. Like I shouldn't think about anything that would trigger anything. I should just relax. The baby is fine. I was like, has my husband seen the baby? And the nurse was like, yes. I'm sure probably she lied just to keep me calm. That yes, he's with your husband. According to my husband, he came to call me from the ward that your baby is in, so he can come to the nursery. And then he asked where I was, and then we told him that they are cleaning me up. At that point, I couldn't breathe. I struggled for a while. So now we were rushing, we were doing their own things. I don't know what they were doing. I tried to remain calm. I was just praying in my head. I was just lying down quietly. Then after a while, the guy was checking his watch, and then he checked something. Then he just rushed and he inserted something into the drip. I don't know what he did. And then he came to check me. Then the nurse changed the gown. She removed this part and then she wrapped me in a blanket. Then after a while, I started shaking on the bed. Hey, I was shaking. My lips were just going. Like I was shaking. And I asked the guy, I was like, something is happening to me. What is it? And then he said, sometimes it's the effect from the drug. So I should just try and remain calm. You see, when you go for antenatal, they don't give you such breakdown that you may experience this, you may experience that. So everything that was happening, I was overwhelmed. I was just going through it as it was. No one told me anything that okay, Abia, we say bit in here and we say so. I thought Abia, like me, like I was just going. And the guy was like, "You'll be fine, relax." So after a while, he was still monitoring the baby. He was making some counts and all that. After a while, And then I calmed down. I stopped shaking on the bed. The bed was even shaking. I closed my eyes, I opened, I saw my husband. He was sitting by my bed, he was holding my hands, I think he was praying or something, I don't know. And then he had brought a gift. I closed my eyes and opened, I saw my brothers, and then they were waving at me. I just said, Maba. They were waving at me. My big brother was there, my younger brothers were waving at me. I closed my eyes, I opened, I saw my auntie was there, that she had gone home and come back. Closed my eyes, I opened again, and I saw my mother. I was like, my freedom fighter has come. After the medal, and I slept at that point. I slept well, because I knew my mother was around. My mother is around. What I knew. I slept at casa. When I opened my eyes, my family, they were having a party in the room. They had brought packed foods and drinks, and they were enjoying. Now me and my mom mobile and me for me just said me no me so. I opened my eyes and I saw my mother and my auntie, and I tilted my head. I was like, "Aiko," and then they were all like, "Hey, what? Sorry." Then my mother just rushed to me. She was like, "Man, Kasa, like, okay, what can I show? Just like that." My family and Kasa. Something small, we make a party out of it, we make noise out of it. So imagine coming home with a fresh baby, a new baby. My nieces and my cousins were outside at the entrance. My mother-in-law had come, my auntie was there, my brothers were standing outside, and then my husband just drove through, like, everybody was standing there just waiting to see me, and then we were making noise. Like, you see, it was nice. When we go home, everybody wanted to see the baby and all that. Like, as a mother, it was nice, but the sleepless nights, I didn't like it. There was this, I think I actually wrote on my status that, so all that mostly people have been writing. We now know that not all of you are making money. Some of you are wiping babies' butts and all that when you. So I didn't like it. Why was someone just gonna take my sleep from me? Like, what is this? But I had all the support I needed. Everybody was there for me. My mother would help, my auntie would help, my mother-in-law would come around, my brothers would just carry him so that I would rest a bit. And there was this, I think my sister-in-law came and then was like, "Hey, husband, when you're home, this is the job your husband should be doing. Your brothers are doing it on his behalf. Hey, referring to another brother, and then we just laughed about it. Life as a new mom, it was nice. I had my people around, so it was okay, but I had to adjust to my new life. Yes, and then I had left work for so long a time, so it got to me, but then I moved on. I think they should add this whole pregnancy, childbirth, and breastfeeding and everything concerning motherhood to a particular curriculum in school or something, so that people can start, the girls will start learning these things from probably SS or GSS. Like, they should add it to basic life skills, because what I went through, honestly, I wished someone had given me details, detail. I didn't even talk about external shots and the SP drug, the malaria drug they give you when you are pregnant. I didn't know all these things. Yes, you would read a few things on books, but then when you're experiencing it, it's different. I think that they should just add it to, whether it gets the university or SS or something, so that people know that it is not that simple to just have a baby. It's not that simple. That's why when people have babies, their families will throw a party or kill a cow or a ram or something. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. They're kind of simple, but when we get there, you realize that it's like a war room for you. Because first of all, I'll say this on record, our healthcare system in this country is, in quotes, very shitty. So adding that to already your problems you are bringing from home and what you are even going through at that time, and not everybody can afford a particular lifestyle. So when you get there, and even how some of the nurses will even treat you, it's not that simple. That is why you have to pray. Whatever you believe in, I'm telling you, just pray. just pray you fall in the right hands, because things may be going wrong. You will never know what will happen. Just pray. Look at what I went through. Someone had gone through, or someone has gone through the same thing, but they couldn't make it. They can't be simple, sir, but it's not that simple. It's not that simple. Even the pain after recovering from a CS and everything, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not a joke at all. So what I would say, just pray. And then take good care of yourself. Follow what your doctor will say. Try and make the right decisions. If this is what you want, stick to it. And you'll be fine.
This video
Was brought to you by Happy Milk.